Hey everybody, in this video we're going to be talking about warm-up exercises. I'm going to show you a little example of that. That's coming up next, but before we get to it, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It's going to help the algorithm and the channel grow, and let's check it out. All right, so we're going to warm up with some trees. So what I would recommend doing is getting on the internet, grabbing some really cool photos of twisty, windy trees, and basically just start drawing. Now there's two ways you can go about it. You can copy from the photograph directly, um, or you can just have the references there as a guide and make up your own cool twisty windy tree, which is what I'm doing here. And this is a really great exercise because you don't really have to think too much, and you can it's your world, so you can create whatever kind of tree you want, um, roots, vines, whatever. And what's great, what I like to do is I like to use a combination of contour and cross contour sketching techniques. So the contour is basically the outline, the outside lines, just basics, um, sort of traced out lines, if you will, for you beginners. Cross contour are the lines that basically define the shape. Um, so the circulature of the tree trunks or branches or whatever I'm doing. Um, and I love that technique because I can get kind of loose with it, and I can get kind of messy with it, and it really doesn't matter. Um, because I just go back and fix what I'm doing, or just keep building on top of what I'm doing. Um, and again, you could see how the trees coming out. It's just coming out pretty cool. Where I'm basically doing whatever I want. If I want some of the tree branches to hit the ground, I'm doing that. If I want them to wrap around different things, and if I want to put holes in the tree, or sap coming out, um, moss and leaves and stuff growing on top. It's just whatever you want, and it just kind of frees you up. It's almost like automatic sketching, where and I might do another video on that, on automatic sketching, which is basically just sketching abstract shapes and forms to just kind of form whatever you want, really. And sometimes it turns into like really cool stuff, like you can build a character off of it, or or whatever, an environment off of automatic drawing. So that's a really cool exercise in just kind of freeing up your mind. And this is kind of something that, drawing trees, I mean, even as a kid I loved climbing trees, and just building forts, and all the cool stuff that we used to do as kids, my friends and I. So um, drawing these trees as warm-ups is a really great thing. And again, you don't have to go, you don't have to get a Cintiq, or you know get on an iPad to do this stuff. Pencil and a piece of paper. Get a sketchbook pad, for those of you that maybe can't afford it right now. Maybe you're just starting out, you're not really working, so you haven't built up some money. Just go to the store, go to the art store. That was always a cool outing for me. Is just kind of getting in my car and going to the art store and spending an afternoon over there and just checking out all the cool art supplies and creative stuff that I can do. It's just another way of keeping the creative juices going. Spending money too, but getting the creative juices going. It's get outside and draw from life. That's another way. I had a cool story, or a funny story, actually, not a cool story, but when I was working at Disney, um, there was a discussion one day where one of the employees was talking about buying an iPad, and he's like, "Oh, I need to get an iPad. I need to get the most awesome iPad so that I can go outside and start sketching." And here I am at my desk, just kind of rolling my eyes, listening to this kid. He was a younger guy, and he's talking about how he wants to go. He needs Photoshop and get out there and draw and stuff. And I just kind of, with my big mouth, I just kind of said, "So you need an iPad to go out there and sketch. You need the crutch of Photoshop." And he, needless to say, he didn't really like that. So he said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, you don't need Photoshop and layers and all these things to get out there and draw. You could just do it with a pencil and a piece of paper." And actually, I actually truly believe that it makes you hardened as an artist, a little bit more sort of less reliant on the computer, and it makes you more resilient. Because what happens is, in Photoshop you can erase your mistakes. You can always just create another layer or delete that layer, or you have unlimited undos where you can just undo. Oh, I don't like that. I want to undo that. But with a pencil and a piece of paper, it's you really can't undo anything, especially if you're drawing with like a pen or like a marker or something, which is another thing I recommend doing. Because when you make a mistake with a pen or a marker, I like to use Pentel pens. They have a lot of different kinds. They're really cool. Um, you see the mistakes on the paper that you made. Oh, I didn't want to do that, or I wanted to do this, or whatever. And what it does, when you don't have the sort of safety net of Photoshop and layers and the unlimited ados, is it makes you think a little bit more about the mark that you're going to make on the page before you make it. Versus a lot of the digital stuff, you it doesn't matter, because it's you can move it around, you can shift it or whatever. So that's one of the benefits, I think, of doing traditional art with a pencil, piece of paper, marker, pen, whatever, and drawing from life, is that you get you have to use your head a little bit more. You have to plan out your piece a little bit more. Um, and yeah, I think that's a good thing. So, like, let's say you're doing that for a year. Well, when you hit the computer after that, or you're already going to have that sort of mental practice in your head, where you're planning out the piece a little bit, and it's going to make you a little bit more efficient at your work. It's going to make you faster. It's going to make you design better and quicker, which everybody knows time is money. So when you're working on a project, the client, I don't care what they say, every client wants it yesterday. So they're always going to be pushing you, even though if they tell you, "Oh, well, you have this time, blah blah blah, you have this much time," they're waiting to see what you're doing, and how you're going to do it, and what you're gonna come up with, the ideas. They want to be involved. um, I had a client just a couple weeks ago tell me that they needed the artwork by Friday, to submit it to the client by Friday. um, I inherently knew, working in the industry for 25 years, nobody it, I'm not going to say nobody, but it's rarely that clients send work on a Friday, that they're going to send their what you do to the client on Friday, because then it's the weekend and all that other stuff. So a lot of times they just want it on their desk because they have their own anxiety issues, and they want to look at it, or see if there's any changes to be made, or to get their act together before they submit it to the client, maybe on Monday or Tuesday for their meeting. So I just kind of said, "Well, yeah, I'll try to get you the work as soon as I can, but like I told you, my timeline is this," which I had already kind of pre warned them, or had a discussion with them before that. Then come Friday, I send them sort of 75% of the work. And I said, oh, I'll get you the rest, Saturday or whatever. And then they say, okay, well, I definitely need it by Monday because I needed to send it to the client by the end of the day on Monday. So it just kind of reaffirmed my point. Um, but kind of circling back to what I was saying before is that you're when you're drawing with a pencil and a piece of paper, you pre-plan your work, and the more efficient you are, and yada yada. So, and it just makes you a better artist um, overall. So this is kind of coming out kind of cool. So I love doing these twisty, sort of knotty trees. I don't think I'm going to go too crazy with the leaves or anything like that. I just kind of like um, building these forms. So what I'm doing now is cross contour drawing. You could see how, like, as I'm doing the cross contour, it's defining the shape more, so it's making it look a little bit more round. That sort of bottom root. That's what cross contour sketching does. Um, and again, some of the other sketching looks a little flat, but I don't really care because if I'm getting into coloring this stuff, part of that would be more in shadow. Um, and another thing I like doing with these sort of trees or sort of automatic sketches where I really don't have to think about anything. Um, I could just have fun drawing cool trees. Is that I could take these things later and incorporate them into any sort of designs or concepts that I want to do in the future. Say, oh, this is kind of a cool tree, and it's all my tree. I made it up. It's whatever. Or if I wanted to take this thing and let's say I wanted to do a sculpt in ZBrush of this tree, I could basically take this initial sketch that I did and maybe do some different angles on it and just kind of figure it out a little bit more, and then take that further development into ZBrush and sculpt the tree, and then just do something with that. I mean, it's just always save your sketches or your little doodles because you never know what they're going to turn into later. I have, oh God, I have probably 20 or 30 sketchbooks just filled with ideas, um, characters, trees like this, environments, whatever I wanted to do. And I always tend to look back and just kind of, if I'm running out of things to do, like personal work, and I want to, expand on a world or create a new world or whatever. And this could be a tree on a planet somewhere. Maybe I do you start to create a world of your own, and maybe the tree doesn't necessarily follow the same laws that the trees on Earth follow. Maybe they grow a different way, or they're colored a different way, or they grow different kinds of leaves, or maybe they don't have leaves. Maybe they have like mushroom like appendages that absorb water, or you know carbon monoxide. Maybe it's not even oxygen. I mean, who knows? And then you turn your tree into a really cool environmental design. So there's that cross contour that I love so much, and you can see as I'm doing these quick cross contours, they're really starting to define the form of the tree trunk and the branches. Sort of a combination of cross hatching and cross contour sketching. It's a really really neat technique for quick um, form building and development. Yeah, yeah, I just love how this, you know, maybe put a giant knot up here with some leaves, some moss hanging off of it. It's pretty cool stuff. Uh, Maybe a little bird lives in there. All of this stuff is really one thing you could put at the top of your page. You could write it down as a reminder. I am the god of my world. A mentor of mine taught me that. So you go into every piece with that mindset, and you could literally, it just kind of keeps you on track for creating whatever kind of world you want. You are the god of your world. You make up the rules. As I've gotten more and more into my career and gotten a little older, I found that that's really what's the most fun. When you're younger and you're out of school, you can't wait to work for these giant companies and Disney and Universal Studios and Pixar and Lucasfilm and but creating your own worlds is the coolest, uh, the most fun, and the most satisfying. So I love just sitting there and creating my own worlds and my own characters and my own stories, and it's just so cool, so satisfying. See, as I do more of the cross contours, you could see these shapes just, the tree just starts to come alive. Must have been an old tree. You know what? I'm the god of my world, and this tree, I just decided that this tree is 520 years old. See how fun that was? That's why it's got all the twisty knots, and why it's so thick, and why some of the branches are hitting the ground because they've just kept growing and growing. 520-year-old tree. Probably home to lots of little birds and little animals that live in there. All those little holes that have been dug into it over the years. Yeah, I'm digging this guy. I started off sketching this thing kind of light sketching, just to kind of figure out how the forms and shapes are going to go. But once you get a good direction, you can start defining a little bit more. And I think we're going to try to finish this guy up here. And take your time, doing these warm ups. I would recommend at least spend about an hour, at least an hour, doing some warm up sketches, just to get your hand going, just to kind of get in the groove, and then get into doing whatever you're doing. It's a real, especially if you haven't drawn for a while. I get into those stints as well where I haven't sketched or drawn for like a couple weeks or so, and I need to get back in the groove of things. You never really forget. This is a great, again, this is a great exercise just to kind of get in the groove, get the juices going, and start your day. Or just grab an anatomy book and just you know sketch out of that, or go out, sketch people in the park. It's also another good warm up. There we go. Get some small vines and branches in there. I hope this helps you guys out there watching the videos. Um, I really appreciate. I think we're almost finished here. I really appreciate you guys checking out the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and it's going to help the algorithm and help the channel grow. And I'd love to get your feedback. What are you guys sketching? What are you guys doing? Put some comments in the description below, and check out the website treehousemachine.com. Have any questions or anything? Shoot me an email. And let's see. I think overall maybe darken this guy up, duplicate this layer. Maybe it's too dark. Just slightly. There we go. It's about 20%. All right. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.